because it's time for us to get the show going, Ben. I'm really excited about tonight's show being our Christmas special, and you're eating. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tuesday night once again, and this is the Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe Christmas edition. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Good evening, Ben.
Hi, John.
Man, it's been a great year. We've had a lot of great shows, and tonight is our Christmas show. And again, you're festive, you're fun, you're here, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
I'm festive and I'm feasting.
You are.
I love Christmas goodies. Maybe it was all the years that I wrestled and I cut weight and I had to miss Christmas dinner and Christmas candy, but I love Christmas goodies.
So for those of you watching, now not only send Ben Star Wars things, but he likes Christmas cookies. Next week you'll have some.
I like all cookies. They don't even have to be Christmas.
Exactly. He doesn't discriminate against cookies. Oh, we got stuff to talk about. You are this isn't our typical studio shot we've got tonight, Ben.
No, but this is a good place to talk about some of the things that came out in 2014 and some of the things that came of age. And
yeah.
Plus, I could eat here.
That'll be tonight's show, not the eating part, which is kind of part of it, but tonight's show we're going to be talking about some of the kind of the highlights or things that stood out in 2014. So before we get to that, I wanted to kind of jump, because tonight, Ben, you've got kind of a cool shirt on. Tell me about your shirt.
Well, of course, Christmas is a time when we give and get gifts, in addition to snacks. And this is a gift from a couple of my tech guys. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Sound active.
Yeah, Equalizer T-shirts.
Nice.
So I thought in the spirit I would wear this gift shirt.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And continuing that festive feel, I see we have an additional personality with us tonight to your right there.
Oh, yes, we do. We have actually not one, but 3 Christmas Darth Vaders. You'll have to find them throughout the episode.
Well, we see the first one right there. Yep. He's the big boy with the appropriate colored lightsaber.
Absolutely. It's, Luke's was green, so you put them together and you get Christmas red and green.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, let's jump right into it. You got a lot of fun stuff. We want to this is kind of our recap of 2014, the cool things, and we just need to get going. There's a lot of cool stuff to look at there, Ben.
Yeah. Plus, I have a lot more cookies to eat, so let's get to it.
So, Ben, let's start off. Kind of, one of our favorite areas is lighting. So let's talk about some of the cool things that have kind of come on in the industry in 2014 in the lighting arena. What do you have for us?
Well, a lot of things came to us. They weren't necessarily birthed in 2014, but they, like I said, they kind of come of age, particularly for the DJ industry. And not really in any particular order. I'm just going to kind of start with what's close to me.
Sure.
We're seeing a lot more of these types of things being used by DJs, and for a variety of reasons. This is an ArtNet interface, or a node, as we call it in the ArtNet world. Mm-hmm. And we're also seeing a lot more what is called ClingNet, which is similar in the way that they're both lighting control over IP, which is the Internet protocol, Ethernet, basically. So we see here we have an EtherCon, which is where we can plug in a Ethernet RJ45, and here we can see we have a couple of DMX ports. And in this case, we have 2 universes, each, of course, 512 DMX channels. And that's one of the places that you're seeing, particularly ClingNet being used, is when we get into like video pixel mapping and those sorts of things. We're using up a lot of channels really, really fast. Just some thumb sketch math. If you have a 100 by 100 pixel panel, of course, it's 1,000 pixels, 10,000 pixels.
10,000, yep.
Yeah, 10,000 pixels, and you've got red, green, and blue in each one. So now you've just burned up an incredible amount of DMX channels.
Yeah.
And with the ArtNet and ClingNet protocols, we can run a staggering number of universes over the protocol, and that's what allows us to do that with a single Ethernet cable.
Very nice.
The other place we're seeing ArtNet, not just necessarily pixel mapping and those sorts of things. LED video walls and large pixel mapping displays aren't really the domain of most DJs, but where this is really useful is that we've turned DMX into an Ethernet protocol. So we can take a standard Wi-Fi router running, 802.11ac or whatever your current router standard is, even, any one at work. And now we can use an iPad or something else that's connecting via Wi-Fi and have DMX control. So that's another place we're seeing that used a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, golly, let's see. Well, next we have our tray of Christmas goodies.
No. We've got to get lights.
Something else that we saw a lot in 2014 is 6-in-1 fixtures, where the diodes have not just red, green, blue, but also red, green, blue, amber, and white. We see this now virtually every brand offers these 6-in-1s or hex, where you have red, green, blue, amber, white, and UV. So that really became very widespread. Again, it wasn't new in 2014, but that's the year when pretty much everybody got hex technology.
Yeah. Now with the advent, the UV was the part that stood out to me when they were talking hex. What's the benefit of that to the light fixture? What can we create with that?
Well, for one, ultraviolet light will make things fluoresce. So we can do things like blacklight dances. That's what we're talking about when we say UV. We're talking about blacklight.
Okay.
We can illuminate things that will fluoresce. That allows us to illuminate invisible scenics. You could have invisible UV that will only illuminate when they're fluoresced by UV light. But there's also some really cool color combinations you can make with UV, particularly with the red diode, and the UV gives you a really rich, deep, magenta-ish color. I'm a guy. We don't know.
It's a shade of red.
Yeah, it's a shade of purplish, pinkish, reddish, purplish.
It looks pretty cool.
But it is a great looking color.
Yeah.
So it broadens the gamut out a bit. And again, you have the ability also to use these lights as part of your blacklight arsenal, which in this case, could be kind of useful.
Yeah. Nice. So hex technology. There we get that. That's tougher to say than I thought. Hex technology.
Yeah, really came of age, giving people who are doing event lighting the biggest color mixing gamut they've had at this price point ever.
Yeah.
It really is incredibly affordable now, and we're seeing it become very widespread.
Nice.
Yeah, it is. It's
good
cool
stuff. Okay, let's continue on. You've got more boxes there in front of you.
I do. You want to stay on lighting? You want to do a little sound?
Let's bounce over to sound, because I'm looking right over your shoulder and I'm seeing something pretty cool, and I'm pretty excited about that. The other shoulder.
Oh, that shoulder.
That shoulder. The cool toy shoulder.
That other shoulder. Well, here again, the DJ controller isn't new. We did see some things change with two of the largest controller manufacturers. Of course, Denon was sold and Pioneer was also sold. So we see some things changing in the business landscape. But we also saw a continuing, I think, emergence in the technology landscape. Controllers, just again, not even coming of age, but I think now becoming dominant.
Yes.
Their role as not only the mix interface, the media player interface, but also the sound card interface. They're really becoming that central linchpin of the DJ system. And we're also seeing with those and with mixers in general, a move to mobile. We're seeing, for example, now this is the new Ddj-Sx2, one of the two new controllers Pioneer released recently. I think they released 6 new controllers this year, though. Just the march has been incredibly fast. But these units down here, as we can see on the box, says Wi-Fi. Both of these allow you to interface with iOS devices, and in the case of the one on the bottom, or excuse me, this one, actually play your music from that device. So we're seeing that the mobile device really become a central part of how we run our shows. And that's not limited just to the DJ world and the remix, that type of thing. We're also seeing it a lot now in the karaoke world and the live sound world. A lot of DJs do small production work. We're seeing, well, for example, to my right over here, we're seeing this mixing console is capable of 96 channels in, but we only see 24 faders. And what we're seeing is the continual elimination of faders. We're now seeing some mixing boards that the only user interface is an iPad, whether it docks with the physical unit or you control it remotely. We're seeing some things like the PreSonus racks. I don't have one to show you right at the moment, but where it is just a rack that you plug things in and your control is all done via your iPad.
Wow.
Here we still have some faders, but then really the central control of that mixing board is a touchscreen. So we're seeing they just kind of put the screen in it. And of course, also the ability to connect to it remotely.
Yes.
And so I think we're seeing some of us sound guys around here, we're kind of speculating what the next generation will think about a mixing board. When I started in the industry, large 1,000-pound boards, they were the norm, and yet they were maybe only 40 channels. And now a board that's a few hundred pounds is capable of 96 and 32 outputs and effects and dynamics and all those things built in, and incredible processing power. And I think that my generation really is the generation that got comfortable with the transition to digital, the transition to the concept of layers, that this fader is whatever I tell it to be.
Yeah.
It's not physically patched to anything inside the board. And the next generation maybe won't see the use for faders. I think those of us who grew up on faders probably will always want them, but I think the next generation will be very comfortable without a tactile interface.
Yeah, I would.
So that's I think 2014 is just, with the introduction of the racks, really put the exclamation point on that. In my anyway, all right.
Yeah.
So moving on, let's do some more audio here. Well, let's hold my candy table for later, shall we?
Oh, no problem.
Something new for us at NOFX, our all-in-one hybrid cables, the ability to send both power and signal over one cable.
Yes.
To your powered loudspeakers. And we can do this with 1 or 2 XLRs, so we could have a biamped or stereo signal or whatever the need would be. And that's something new to us, and they've been very well received, and people are enjoying how much time they save on their setups.
Ben, I had a question about that.
Sure.
For the amount of power now, because the top cabinets is typically, or a sub, they have different power needs. Now, are they wires? Do you put different size wires in that for running the power to those cabinets? Do you have to use a certain wire for the sub compared to the top? I guess is probably what I'm asking.
I think it depends on what your speakers draw. We only use 1 gauge in the wires we make. We only have 1 size cable, and that allows us to work in volume and save cost. Doesn't mean that it's the right solution for every use. It also depends on the length of the cable. There's, volt drop is very it's absolutely tied to the amperage and the length. So, difficult question to answer. We use 14 gauge wires, which are probably adequate for most applications, but more is better. I've seen people say, well, you can use 16 or you can use 18. I disagree. I guess it depends on how powerful your speakers are, but I don't want to choke off the power rails in that amplifier.
Yeah.
Particularly as we're moving into, most powered loudspeakers have digital amplifiers and digital power supplies. They don't have the large toroidal power supplies, so they don't recover very fast. They need a good pipeline to the wall, or they won't recover. So I don't think you're talking about saving a couple bucks, maybe. I wouldn't do it. I'm all about saving $1 where it makes sense. I don't think that's where it makes sense.
Sure.
Gosh, I don't know. Anyway, I digress. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, what are we up to next?
Well, let's. I think we talked about this in the LDI episode that we called this the year of the Cobb.
Yes.
And that stands for chip on board. We talked about that a little bit. Let me just kneel down here real quick. Here we can see this is a LED blinder. Something, of course, we're all familiar with the Molfay blinder effect at concerts and that sort of thing, and we like that with the halogen lights. But they're rapidly being replaced, and again, I don't think it'll be long before we'll see widespread use of these. This is and the color temperature of this is really good. It looks very conventional halogens, very, very warm. And this is a blinder effect. And nice thing too, these will rotate a little bit. But anyways, you can see these large square diodes inside.
Yes.
And those are the chip-on boards, and the coverage of this is incredible. I use these in arenas, and they're just dynamite. Another place that is. And that would be great for maybe for a DJ to use for a crowd blinder or something too. Obviously, it's lightweight, it's small.
Yeah.
It only draws a couple hundred watts instead of thousands. But we also see here another effect where Cobbs excel is wide coverage. And of course, I think that's really useful with UV. We generally want to wash a large area. We want to have our black light parties or whatever.
Yeah. So
having a chip-on-board diode in here really makes a lot of sense. And these, man, I'll tell you what, these blow my mind. I'm just in love with this fixture. It's met every expectation I had for it.
Now, with the Cobb technology, is that dimmable with a DMX protocol?
Absolutely. Okay. In fact, that's talking with other conventional LDs, lighting designers, about the blinder, it will strobe also, and that's certainly something they're not used to with a blinder. So it's opening up new doors.
Yeah,
and they're beginning to ask themselves questions, and it's fun to watch people go through these mental processes. They say, "Why would you strobe that?" And then a second later, no pun intended, the light goes on, but a second later they say, "I can strobe that." It's a whole new set of effects that weren't previously available. The halogen lamps simply. The dimming curve on them, they would dim out and dim up. They wouldn't strobe sharply, whereas these do. But yeah, these will absolutely dim as well.
Nice.
Yeah, it has all the functionality essentially of a regular diode.
Good stuff. Okay, what do we have next?
Well, since we're onto lighting, something new into the U.S. market, and it gets mentioned just because it's unique. The Ape lights, made in Germany. What they've done, well, here they just have a very small LED uplight, single diode, and sort of a Fresnel lens. Gives you kind of an uplightish sort of thing, but it's the size of a soda can.
Yeah.
Lightweight. But the one that's really got everybody's attention is this one. It's kind of a unique effect. Again, only 3 diodes, and each one has the ability to be focused out. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it here.
Yep.
But anyway, using the optional lens, you can create different colored stripes going up. So I think it has a place.
Yeah.
It's another tool in the arsenal. I've said before, lighting is art.
Yes.
And the room is your canvas, and this gives you a new, unique brush.
Precisely, yeah.
And something else we really saw, now this, again, isn't new in 2014, but the many-in-one thing, which, really goes back to, I think, American DJ with their Fusion series. I mean, this goes back a ways, but just really this year it seems has just caught fire. And this started a couple of years ago with things like the 4-bar and the DOTS T-PAR, where we had these all-in-one systems. But now we're seeing it into effect lights, like I said, kind of like the Fusion series. And I think without a doubt, the hottest selling fixture we've had this year is the Swarm 5 FX. This light has your LED effect like the Swarm did, but it adds a laser and it adds a strobe function. And now there's several other variants on this, and of course the new gig bar that Chauvet released. We talked about that in the LDI episode.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bar with washes, effects, strobes, everything laser, all in one, and we can't keep those in stock. Just this year, that seems to be the thing.
Yeah.
How much stuff can I put into one box and less setup? And we're seeing a lot of that being used by multiple DJs.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it really is. It's an exciting time to be honest.
Let's get back into some audio stuff.
All right. Well, we've been saving the candy table here.
Yeah.
The cookie table. Man, it is hard to look at this. Hard not to eat it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have nothing here.
One of the things that came out this year that I continue to be very excited about, and they have met expectations everywhere. We're seeing these actually spec'd into some fairly sizable install projects, but we're also seeing them used widely by DJs, and that is the new ETX series by Electro Voice. I talked about when they came out at NAMM how excited I was about it. You had an 18mm birch box and all those great things, new transducer design, new time alignment for the drivers, physical time alignment, all those cool things. But what's really great is that at a very affordable price point, they've put FIR processing in this box. And what we see behind it here, and I brought this out just to illustrate the point, the same processing that is capable with these touring-grade amplifiers, the same amplifiers that are used in some of the largest venues in the world, the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, some of the largest tours in the world, gosh, boy, some of the biggest names. That is the top of the food chain as far as amplifiers from Electro Voice. They've taken that programming and that processing, and they've put it in this box. Now, the amplifier gives us another technology we can talk about, probably not something we're going to see used much with the DJ world. One thing that I think this box is missing, and I wish it had, but if it had it would have been priced out of the market.
Sure.
For DJs is a new technology from Electro Voice called Omnio, which is not only audio control, it gives me the ability from a computer using the Iris protocol to supervise and control every aspect of the amplifier. That technology's been around for a while, things like CAN bus and whatnot, but now it's on Ethernet. It's very, very fast. But also to use Dante, which is a digital audio transport, like we talked about lighting over Ethernet. This is audio over Ethernet, which again has been around with things like CobraNet and RockNet and whatever. But now it's all over one. So incredibly flexible. For example, I could plug an analog audio input in my first amplifier and then tell all 20, 30, 50 other amplifiers to take the audio via Ethernet from that amplifier selectively. Anyway, that's the one thing that's missing on this box. I really wish it had an Omnio port so that in the install world we could use that control and those protocols. Again, not relevant or applicable for a DJ, and I think it was probably wise for Electro Voice to leave it out, keep them at the low price point they are. But that tells you about the other characteristics of this box, that it's good enough that we want to pair it with those kinds of things.
Wow. Yeah,
it brings a lot to the table.
So if, let's just say they could bring that technology to the DJ world, just so I get a grasp of this, because of running the signal over the Ethernet wire, could your distances between speakers be greater than you could with running an XLR signal?
Well, yeah. Now, Ethernet is limited to approximately 300 feet. So that might be a limitation in and of itself. But the ability of Ethernet, for example, with Dante, is to be able to run hundreds of channels of audio instead of just one over an XLR. For example, that mixing board connects with a Cat5 cable. Now, that doesn't use Ethernet. It uses MADI, which is another digital audio transport method. But so the ability is to not only send it over long distances. If we switch to fiber instead of copper, now we can send it a long ways. And we can create things like self-healing redundant networks. So, for example, if we have all these racks in an arena and we can connect them with a redundant ring, if something happens to one wire, it gets cut or something, the network will sense that it still has another path and will heal itself. And so we have much more reliability, much more uptime. And that might be useful in the case of, I hate to say it, but a tragic event, a natural disaster, terrorist event, whatever, where maybe damage is caused to the building, but evacuation and life safety announcements are still important. Yeah. So it's really not applicable to a DJ. We're talking about capabilities and distances that are probably not likely to be used.
Certainly.
And it adds a layer of complexity, things like clocking and that sort of thing that most DJs probably don't really want to deal with.
Yep.
But it's just really cool where all of this is going. And I'll tell you what, I think if I was a DJ, and once in a previous life I was, if I was a DJ, I would be paying very close attention to what's happening in the install world and the tour world, because it's coming to your town next.
Sure.
We're seeing this Cobb technology, ArtNet, ClingNet, FIR processing, we're seeing that all filter into this neighborhood, and that's really exciting. It's a really exciting time. I mean, somebody might say, why in the world did you put a Digico board in a DJ show? And I think that might be a fair question, except for that reason, to say, because it's coming to you.
Yes.
It's filtering down from the boards that are used by U2 and Radio City Music Hall and that sort of thing. It is filtering down to the boards that you can use for your karaoke show.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I mean, we'll at NAMM here in just a couple of weeks, we're going to be seeing that technology. We've seen it a little bit in some DJ controllers, but we're going to see more of it this year and next year. And eventually, it's going to be, everything's going to have it.
You can bet on it.
Ben, we've got a lot of really cool technology we've talked about, but really the burning question that the people have had since we started the show tonight was, you mentioned there were 3 Christmas Darth Vaders, and I can see the big one. And when we were over talking about the mixer, I could see one there, but a third one, I'm not sure if I saw it.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It's a Christmas.
I love this time of year. I love Miracle on 34th Street. I love White Christmas, Holiday Inn. I even love some of the newer Christmas movies. But anyway, Polar Express. I love watching that with my kids. All these great, wonderful things. And so Darth Vader's omnipresent presence is a Christmas miracle. I don't know where I was going with that. I have no idea. You know what? I really just wanted to say how much I love this time of year for its food and its movies. And
you're just getting high on sugar cookies right now is what you're saying.
Darth Vader's hanging out back here.
Protecting the cookies.
He's guarding the cookies. The Sith Lord is in charge of the snacks.
Oh, great stuff. Great stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our end of the year Christmas show here for the Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe. We want to thank you for watching this year. If you've checked out 1, if you've checked out 5, 10, whatever, we would just really want to thank you for being there, giving some comments and feedbacks, and sharing with your friends. It really means a lot to us, because as we've said in other episodes, this is kind of a way of us giving back to the industry, to be able to share some knowledge, have a little fun, and maybe you'll learn something, maybe you won't one night or every night that we do this, but once in a while we actually say something insightful that might help you in your day-to-day life.
I want to add to that, John. You've got kids, I think about 11 of them or something,
yeah.
But I've got kids, and I don't want to say that we have better things to do on our Tuesday night. That's not the case, or we wouldn't be here. But here it is, 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and you're right. We're doing this for our industry. We're doing this for you, our viewer, and so your feedback and your interaction is important to us. We aren't doing this for ourselves, and so we want to know that it's useful, and we want to hear from you. If
you have any comments, put them in the description below here, the comments area down below on YouTube. You can go out to our Facebook page, Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe. Search for that. You'll find it. Comments, thoughts, ideas, questions. Go out to Twitter, hashtag NLFXBan, the @ NLFXBan, whatever. We're easy to get a hold of. Pop us a message. Let us know what your thoughts are. Share some future topics that you'd like us to dig into. Or just say, hey, we kind of like it. Even if you see us in the hallway, to come up and say, hey, I watched the show. It really does mean a lot to us. Well, what we really want is cookies. Although I'm really happy to say that, and I'm not doing this for the gifts. We joke about that a little bit, but it is really
in the season of gifts here, I guess it's a good time to say it's really humbling to get gifts, and it really warms my heart that when I come back from a road trip, there's stuff on my desk. You don't need to send anything, really. I'm not really asking for stuff, but I just want to tell you, to the people who have done that, how much it means to me. It really does. Both of these Darth Vaders are gifts. The one on the console, actually, I stole off Sam's desk. He's one of our engineers at NLFX. I'm not sure he knows. He's not at the office at 9 o'clock at night. So, some nights he is, working on projects.
Yep.
Anyway, so thank you all, and have a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday. Whatever you're celebrating, I hope you celebrate it with peace and love and warmth.
Wonderfully said, Ben. Wonderfully said. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. Have yourself a wonderful evening. This is John Young with the Jockey News.